The numbers told the story. They always do.
It's one of those idiots who believe in analytics.
This is a numbers game with Gill Alexander on VSiN.
Hour number 2 of a numbers game at VSiN, the Sports Betting Network, VSiN.com, the VSiN app, Game Plus, iHeartRadio, YouTube TV, all proudly brought to you by BetMGM. It's Gill Alexander. It's Kelley Bydlon. Kelley, I did not know that LeBron James chose to wear pajamas at the post-game press conference last night.
I did not
see that.
I did not catch that either. He's gonna wear his PJs before he hops on his PJ.
You and I could not pull that off.
I don't know. I think I could pull that off.
Oh, man, I'll speak for myself, man. By the way, Drew Dinsick on Hardwood Handicappers with you today, we should note.
Yeah, JVT big time. He's on Follow the Money this for part of this week, so we're giving him the day off and called in Dinsick from the bullpen. He's coming in, man. It's going to be a fun
Drew
pod.
is always down.
Oh, he was
down.
I didn't even have to ask really. He was like, I'm in. Let's do it.
You're like, can you? Sure.
So me and him will talk nonsensically about the Miami Heat and how we're still just very confused about what's going on.
If you'd like to hear two people more confused about the Heat later, you can tune into that podcast.
Maybe we'll welcome Jay Kahn, where he's like, what are you two idiots doing?
Ladies and gentlemen, my next guest is probably the nerdiest of all my guests, and I say that with love. He and I used to go to spring training games and invent metrics of our own while watching idly. You should also know that when he was just asked by our audio guy, Kev, if he should lean back in his chair or lean forward, Mark Borchard, what did you say? What was your full answer to that question?
I said, I'm laid back. Got my mind on my money and my money on my mind. I mean, it just came to me, right?
So great from him. Mark Borchard, ladies and gentlemen, from an undisclosed location in the desert. You can follow him at basewinner.com. That would not be funny from anyone else, but from you, that is spectacular that you know that. Mark, so you and I, not only did we used to nerd out and do stuff like that, but one of the things we did 10 years plus ago, when we would, 10 years plus ago, when we're talking about baseball handicapping, the metrics were far more primitive, but you could actually beat baseball because not many people even cared about anything sabermetrics. And I just want to get into something that we used to do then as a hack here because we're on the cusp of doing our Q1 derivative show together. And I'm curious if any of this matters now. Are you ready for a little exercise before we get your picks of the day?
Yeah, go ahead.
So we used to really just look at the difference between ERA, baseball card stats, and fielding independent pitching back in those days. Now, again, for those who are the uninitiated, some of the difference in those two numbers is basically about what a pitcher can control. And many of the things that are involved in that, not to get too nerdy here, are your batting average on balls in play. That's a huge factor in that difference in the assessment of those two. Home run to fly ball rate, which home runs are sort of wall scrapers, which go over the fence. And the other one would be strand rate as well. Who on base is actually getting home, who's not. That's something that should regress to the mean generally over time. So I'm curious, and this doesn't apply to pitchers today, but a lot of these guys are involved tomorrow. Have you found exploitable numbers when it comes to Lance Lynn? Let's take the guys who have way better fielding independent than they do ERA. So these guys have been underperforming. Lance Lynn, Zach Wheeler, Johan Oviedo of the Pirates, and then Jose Berrios of the Toronto Blue Jays. Have you found that these guys have numbers that you are going to back generally from start to start?
No, I think it was a good introduction that you talked about. Back in the day, you were able to use an xFIP to ERA comparison and get value. But when you're talking about these four pitchers particularly, I cannot recall being one-sided on any of them. Mm-hmm. And I think that goes to show you how prevalent, I guess, this xFIP minus is in the market. So I think that was a good opportunity for us back in the day, Gill, but it's just not there anymore. I mean, I don't feel like when I listen to other content regarding baseball handicapping, I feel like I never hear ERA. It's all xFIP minus. So that's kind of a long answer to a short question. I don't think there's any value using that particular stat.
And that also shows, and that's why I bring it up, right? It also shows how none of this stuff is static. What worked 10 years ago certainly won't work 10 years later, let alone maybe even a couple 3 years ago. But I do want to say how quick in history it was, because even 6 years ago, like when VSiN started, we were kind of the only ones still talking about stuff like that, right? BABIP and strand rate, and that's it. Now everybody talks about it.
Yeah, you can't get. I mean, you can't get normal stats. So maybe that's the new what do they call it? The new orange.
Inefficiency.
Orange
Yeah.
is the new black or
Yeah.
something, whatever that is. But I remember you were able to ride Derek Lowe to
Yes.
new highs. Pardon
We
the pun, but
we yeah.
I mean, for like 6 or 7 games, and he just kept getting shelled, and that wouldn't happen today. Like,
No.
not only is the market like privy to XFIP minus, but the front offices
front
are too.
offices. That's
Yeah,
exactly right. They know now too. That's exactly right, and they didn't back in the day. By the way, Lance Lynn pitches tomorrow night. So does Zach Wheeler, who's on that list as well. So bet accordingly there. What about today? What did you bet today?
I like the Orioles here today. My numbers are pretty high on Grayson Rodriguez. I like his name, too. It kind of sounds like he belongs in a telenovela. I don't know if you ever watch any of those, but that would be a good character name for a telenovela. But he's 18th in the base winner 150. I've got him 18% better than an average pitcher. And Eflin has been good. I have him 53 out of 150. If you take a look at the strikeout percentage between the two guys, and Rodriguez actually has a better strikeout percentage, 26%, actually 25.9 compared to Eflin at 24.0. But kind of where the difference is with these guys is ISO allowed last 600 plate appearances. And this is a stat I've been using pretty heavily this season. It's been really good for me. Grayson Rodriguez is .141 ISO allowed. It's close to the top percentile. And then Eflin's at .175, and that's close to the bottom percentile. Shake it all out, I got it minus 141, so sizable advantage in the market. I think it brings up an interesting point with Tampa Bay and their weighted runs created plus right now, 142. And if you look over the last 5 years from March 1st to now, May 9th, they are 20 points higher than the next team. The Astros in 2019, the juice ball era, I believe they had a 122 weighted runs created plus.
So the Rays are 29-7 for those scoring at home, right? And again, I always bring up the 84 Tigers, who ended up winning the World Series, but they started out 35-5. That's sort of the 40-game benchmark that everything is compared to, and the Rays obviously in that neighborhood. Have you been able to exploit that on a day-to-day basis, or not really, because the lines have it's been baked into the market?
No, I haven't done much either way with Tampa Bay. The stuff that I've done has been betting against them, and maybe I'm just lucky. But I remember I hit with the A's on the run line betting against them. But it's been pretty. I haven't really bet the Rays either way that much. I'm looking to bet them against them right now. I don't think this 142 weighted runs created plus is sustainable. It's just so out of the norm. I mean, I thought, well, maybe there's a team over the last 5 years that have been close, and that 2019 Astros juiced ball to this date in the season were 122. So they're 20 points above that. I don't see. I mean, you look down the lineup, I don't see it, Gill. I just don't.
I'm with you, and that's sort of what is sustainable, what is not, and that makes sense that you would see many more opportunities in fading them. Even if to some degree that would, and maybe you've gotten lucky because it hasn't happened, but for those that have, perhaps on a daily basis, it's about banging your head into a wall. But at some point, that ought to, based on the numbers, it ought to turn. So you like the Orioles as a dog against the Rays. What else do you got today?
I know people that listen to your show love it when I do this. I'm going to do a base winner parlay today. I like.
This is, by the way, I'll interject. This is where Fezzik text me and says, Mark Borchard is so awesome. He's so smart. You can tell he knows his stuff. And then at the end of the segment, he gives us a Yankees-Dodgers parlay. So what do you have here?
I love it. I tell you what, I can hardly wait to say, how can you play a parlay? But sometimes they're good opportunities to lower your risk while taking heavy favorites, and that's why I do it. And it's worked for me over the years when I do it. If you look on the card today, I like the Mets minus 185. Tied to the Giants minus 215, and if both of those win, you get plus 121. I'm a big fan of Logan Webb. Have him 25th out of 150 pitchers, and although Scherzer has been not Max Scherzer, 22.7 strikeout percentage last 150, very concerning when you're talking about Scherzer. Compare him to Luke Weaver, who is right at league average strikeout percentage, but that ISO allowed is .209. It's a very high number. It puts him in the 4th percentile in a bad way. And you get a better offense here with this Mets team. They're 6th in baseball compared to the Reds 28th in baseball. So I think that's a decent parlay to get you going for today, guys.
Mets Giants, you said?
Mets Giants.
Okay,
yep.
Giants taking on the Nationals, who have shown a pulse here of late for sure. Just because we brought it up with the Rays, let's leave with this. Who has been, based on your numbers, who has put together the most unsustainable performance as a club thus far? Maybe it is the Rays. Maybe it's someone else. Who is the most unsustainable to the bad where you're like, no, they're way better than this? It's got to turn.
The better team, obviously, is the Cardinals. You look, and then they're disparaged by a lot of people right now. But you look at their weighted runs created plus 106, so that's decent, 6% better than average. XFIP minus, and I don't know, they must be putting it together with their bullpen because I don't really like their starting pitcher, but starting pitching rather. XFIP minus is a 93, so. That's in the top 10 in all of baseball. And you wouldn't think that with the Cardinals, the way they're getting disparaged in the media, Gill.
Well, they have the worst one-run record, right, in all of baseball. That has a lot to do with it, I mean, their one-run record is 1-7. Contrast that with the Marlins. You know what the Marlins record is in one-run games? 11-0. 11-0. I mean,
yep.
That may, and sometimes those last for a season. Would the Rays be the answer on the other side, by the way?
Other side, actually, to get worse, I have the Guardians to get worse. They should be 11-23 right now, Gil.
Wow.
On my number.
Okay. Mark, always great to see you. Just quoting Snoop lyrics. Mark Borchard, base winner. Coming back with Champions League picks next.
A numbers game on VSiN, the sports betting network.
Before you make your next bet, be sure to visit VSiN.com to check the current betting splits data.
Split bet.
Want to know where the money and bets are moving every game? Well, the betting splits page is updated with DraftKings odds every 10 minutes, so you can see changes in all the action. Find out where the public is betting based on the number of tickets and where the money does not match the public opinion. You can check out not just today's action, but future events as well. Betting splits, yet another way that VSiN is here to make you a smarter, better year-round. Check them out, all of today's betting splits for every game at vsin.com. Real quick, some tweets at Being the Book. Oh, by the way, Magic Johnson has tweeted. I don't know if you know this, Kelley. The Lakers overcame a brilliant triple-double performance by Steph Curry to win 104-101 and go up 3-1 in the series. Well, thanks, Madge.
Aren't you upset that you're not going to get that for your Washington football team? Those kind of tweets.
Oh, boy.
Sam Howell was excellent today, throwing the ball down the field.
Yeah, no, that's
thanks, Magic.
Thanks, Madge. Mike Alvarez. That's the best rap reference pulled by a middle-aged man since Mike Palm pulled "I Miss My Uncle Charles" from Bone Thugs and Harmony from the early 90s. He did that on this show. He was in studio with me years ago, and I thought I thought it was going to completely go over Mike Palm's head, and he just spits out Bone Thugs lyrics. I'm like, who's this guy?
For these are where the VSiN Plus subscription needs to happen because
numbers game audience knows.
Oh yeah, Kevin's setting up Mark. That was one of the funniest moments I've experienced in this show.
Mike Alvarez adds, "I'm going to lay the jolly on de facto power rating on the Q1 Derivative Show." Now, that is a man who has listened to the Beating the Book podcast and Betting Dork podcast before that for many years. Mark Borchard and I do Q1, Q2, Q3. So after 40 games, 80 games, 120 games, roughly during the Major League Baseball season, we go through all kinds of betting statistics, and it gets kind of granular. We do first 5 stats. We do first inning stats as well. Those are proprietary, so check that out on the Beating the Book podcast feed. Our next one is the French Open podcast coming up with Drewski, and Dan Weston said he'll be in town. By the way, how great was it meeting Dan Weston when he was in town?
It was awesome.
I hung out with him for 2 days. Dan and I were running the streets, baby.
He was a lot taller than I was expecting.
He's a gigantic human being.
Just what a nice guy. He was awesome coming in here. Very complimentary to all of us, but. Man, great personality.
It's phenomenal.
Yeah, seemed like he'd be a good guy to have.
And I want to say that I understood every word. I understood every word he said.
He wants to say.
I want to point this out before we get to Paul Carr and the Champions League picks. I don't know if you saw this yesterday. I know you did, Kelley. But the University of Iowa announced yesterday that 26 athletes across 5 sports are suspected of wagering on sports in violation of NCAA rules, and more than 100 people have been linked to an investigation. In addition, Iowa State acknowledged that some 15 of its athletes across 3 sports also are suspected of violating gambling rules. And Kelley, you had the same reaction I did, which is these are kids gambling, right?
As far as we know, right?
As far as we know.
Yeah.
Isn't this going to happen a million times?
I would think so. But this is also it kind of goes back to last week with the Alabama LSU. Very, very different story. But as far as, U.S. integrity, right, being involved in that case, Matt Holt, who we have a lot of experience with here at VEASAN, works with U.S. integrity. This is a sign of those types of organizations catching this kind of stuff. So it is.
Well, right. But in the University of Alabama baseball story, that was the manager of the team.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's completely different. That's what I'm saying. It's completely different. But why are you hearing about these things? Is because those type of services help catch this betting activity.
We also, I'll speak for you too, we also were surprised by some of these rules. I didn't know. We all kind of knew you can't bet on your sport, but they are not permitted to bet on any sport that contains a championship.
I still don't really get on all the rules. We can get Wyatt Tomczyk up here and stand on his soapbox, but yeah, he was lecturing me downstairs. Yeah. But I don't. So I guess they can go into they can bet on a boxing match or something,
but not the NFL.
But you can't bet on the NFL. I think I'm understanding it right.
I'd like to have a discussion with some of those rule makers. It's interesting.
Yeah.
Paul Carr joins us, ladies and gentlemen, from Topeka, Kansas, heart of the nation, to talk some Champions League. You want some midweek soccer action? We've got you, guy, right here. How you doing, Paul?
I'm good. This is the semifinals. This is big time. This is the fun part of the European season. It's the end of the leagues, Champions League semis and on. Let's go.
Paul comes to us from TruMedia Networks and, of course, the Expected Value podcast as well. Paul Carr on Twitter, Carr. All right, so again, this gets you – give us an idea how excited this gets you versus because the Premier League, they play 38 games. There is no championship. There is no tournament. Right. It just ends. Someone clinches. This is a mid-season. Now, Adam Silver apparently is going to give us this kind of thing in the NBA, but this is obviously the most prestigious of all the mid-season tournaments, the UEFA Champions League. We are in the semis. How pumped how riveted are you today and tomorrow watching these two?
I may not get a lot of work done for a couple hours. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah.
I mean, because it's the stakes of one goal can change so much. We saw this last year with Madrid and City in the semifinals. Real Madrid scored twice late in the second leg to send it to extra time and then won when they were big underdogs. You just don't get that in the league European season. It's just, like you said, it's just stretched over 38 games where there's drama game to game, but it's very rarely until the very end of the season, a kind of a life or death from a season standpoint, from a title standpoint right there. And you get that over the course of these are 2 legs. So today's the first leg. You get that over the course of these 180 minutes, and you get to see these matchups usually of clubs you don't see run into each other as much. City and Real Madrid don't play during the regular league season. The other half of the bracket happens to be 2 Italian clubs, but that's not necessarily normal. So there's the fun of, it's just like the NCAA tournament when you get these teams running into each other that probably didn't play during the season. You're like, oh, I want to see how, KU's athletes are going to do against UConn's athletes, sort of thing. They just don't see a lot.
Yeah. Well, let's start with today's. Again, it's Real Madrid and Man City from the Premier League in Man City's case. Real Madrid is a big dog here, but you like them.
I do. So the overarching narrative of this game is City is the best team in the world, which I'm not arguing with, and Real Madrid is all just vibes from Champions League vibes, especially. They have this history. They've won, however many European Cup titles going all the way back to the 50s. So you're talking it's 15-ish, forget the exact number. They won last year when they were big underdogs, as mentioned, against City in the semifinals. And there's truth to that. But Real Madrid's also really good. This is not a Cinderella story. This is not this is not like Butler or something back in the NCAA tournament when they made a couple runs to the final. They're really good. There's a real case, as odd as this sounds, that they're the second best team in the world. And now they're in 3rd place in La Liga, so that sounds weird, but their underlying numbers, aside from Man City, they're as good as anybody in Europe. They're as good as Barcelona or Bayern or Napoli this season. They've just kind of been underachieving most of their shot and expected goals numbers this year. So this is a good team. So, yeah, I lean toward Real Madrid. It's really it's the price. I mean, they have Benzema, they have Vinicius Jr., they have plenty of guys who can score. Man City will have more of the ball, which Real Madrid is fine with. They're a little more of a counter-attacking type of team in general, so that's not really going to change anything Real Madrid does. And they just don't get fazed by anything. There is some intangible devil magic they have that makes them good in these big moments. So yeah, if I'm taking a side here, I've taken Real Madrid at plus 220, I believe. You can probably find a little bit better. If you want to get a little more conservative and you have the right book, I really like a Real Madrid double chance and over 1.5 goals, which gets you better than even money as another option. But yeah, I have no problem getting over 2-1 on Real Madrid win here, which is what I've done.
Double chance, for those who don't follow the sport, means?
Plus half a goal. The double chance is you get a win or a draw.
Win or draw. And the over, if you want to get frisky with that.
Mm-hmm. And just over 1.5,
Yeah.
You don't have to go too crazy on that because, is it really going to end 0-0 or a 1-0 Real Madrid win? It's extremely unlikely.
What about tomorrow, same time? And by same time, I mean noon Pacific, 3 Eastern on our side of the world. It is, as you mentioned, 2 Italian clubs, AC Milan, Inter Milan. Inter Milan, the plus 150 underdog.
This is a tough one, especially a day out. So the big question mark here is AC Milan's Rafael Leao, who's their left winger, is questionable for this game. He got hurt over the weekend. The thigh injury. So if he doesn't play, that's a huge loss for Milan. But either way, I still lean toward Inter Milan. They are the better team. They were kind of scuffling through some of the Champions League early rounds in the knockout stage, but they've been really good in Serie A lately. The numbers have come around. They were underachieving a lot of those numbers, but now they've been rolling a little bit. So they're just quite a bit better here. This game is quote unquote at AC Milan, but these two teams share a stadium rather. So this is not a road game in the traditional sense. There's an away team just kind of for logistical reasons, but both games are in the stadium, so I'm not concerned about that. So I like Inter Milan, plus 150 on the win here. Again, without Leao, even if he's back, I don't know how healthy he's going to be, but AC Milan has been like half a goal or so, over half a goal worse per 90 minutes without him this year. So I like Inter at plus 150. There's that asterisk of whether Leao plays, but I still don't think that's going to make a huge difference.
If you like Inter at plus 150, are you thinking about a 7-1 shot at them winning the whole thing?
Maybe. I mean, not really, to be honest.
Not really.
Because
okay.
This whole series is, Inter's a favorite, not a giant favorite, but a favorite, and then they're going to be massive underdogs against either team in the final. So you're going to get a nice price if you want them to win this series and then win the final. You're going to get basically the same thing.
All right,
do it that way.
Paul, we appreciate it as always. Enjoy the games.
Let's go. This will be fun.
Well, good luck with the bets. Two dogs. Going to try to get some bang for our buck today and tomorrow. Chrissie Andrews, my mishpucha. We hope to locate him. We hope to have him on next. Talk to him about the draft and more. Numbers Game, VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
A numbers game on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
Become a VSiN Pro subscriber today and get a daily email recapping all the best bets from our show hosts and guests. You'll also get unlimited access to our VSiN.com/picks page. Sort picks by sport, matchup, event, date, and more. Check the top VSiN experts leaderboard to view betting records, profit, and ROI, and see which VSiN expert has the hot hand. For VSiN Pro picks, betting splits, power ratings, plus 24/7 video access. Become a VSiN Pro subscriber today. Sign up now for only $9.99 at VSiN.com/subscribe. We get tweets at Beating the Book. Chris Heath wants to know, does Drew think the Heat will be longer than plus 400, 4-1 in series versus the Celtics? Otherwise, I don't see why he doesn't see value in the Heat to win the East, especially if he likes them to get past the Knicks. Well, I think you should listen to Hardwood Handicappers.
Yeah.
With Kelley, Bydlon, and Drew Dinsick today. James at the James Lloyd just saw on MLB Network Max Scherzer dealing with a scapula issue and is, quote, trying like hell to avoid the IL, unquote.
Oh, boy.
Oh, boy. That's right. All right. We go through these. We'll get some more coming up later. He's not in studio with us today, but ladies and gentlemen, my mishpucha comes to us via the invention that we know as the telephone. Chris Andrews, who runs the South Point Hotel Casino, and he's got intro music. Oh, yeah. Do we have lyrics? No. Kicking It with Chrissie. I thought he would come on and be like, can we kick it? No, he doesn't do that. Chris Andrews, everybody, who runs the South Point Hotel Casino Sportsbook, but is off campus right now. Author of Then One Day, Then One Year, Adel Fusmo. How you doing, Chrissie?
I'm doing great, Gill. I guess I should be there. I thought you were still on vacation.
Oh, no.
They told me to take it off till you got back. I didn't know you were back.
See, unless you were told,
humble apologies.
you're like, oh, he's on vacation. It was like 3 months later. He's on vacation.
My bad. Kelly's bad.
Oh, man.
Yeah, we're blaming it on Kelley. The hell with him. Okay, all right.
All right, so I haven't been able to speak to you, but I got 2 questions here in retro. Let's talk about the NFL draft. Any I know you don't have full regrets, but is there any thought in your head like, oh man, maybe this was the year to have booked it, or none of that?
No. Not just
Yeah.
And even the day of the draft, and like even whatever it was, and I kept joking, Michael, you're not sick of me already? And he kept inviting me to lunch. And then the day of the draft, he said, "You're not booking this thing, are you?" I said, "No." I said, "No." He goes, "Good." He goes, and he holds the same philosophy I do. This is not a game. This is not a game of chance. Somebody knows something. Your decisions made by people. No matter what, even a 20-point favorite isn't a lock to win a game. One team tries to win, and the other team tries to win. Here's 2 things, and somebody's going to make a decision, and that's the end of the result.
By the way,
no, it's not a game.
2 weeks.
We shouldn't be booking.
2 weeks ago, when you were not here, I did an imitation of what our exchange on this would have gone like, and it's pretty much just what happened. I said, Chrissie, do you regret not booking the draft? And I thought your response would be like, "Do I look like I regret it, Gill?" So that was basically the version of that. That's where we came down. What about?
Well, since you can't see my face right now,
Yeah.
I don't look like I regret it.
Yeah. What about the Derby? Where do we stand on that? Is it here at the South Point? I know there's a big party up in the ballroom. I've attended it many years. Obviously, Mage got home. I'm not sure if you had Mage or if you made money on the Derby or lost. But from a bookmaking standpoint, the South Point, obviously the only place in town where the race book is separate from the horse book. But is it as popular as ever before? Is it waning a little? Where does it stand?
Well, I can only speak for us, and we had a full room. I think we held, I was saying 750, but I got corrected. I think we held 950 up in that room. There's food and drink specials, and that's besides having a separate room, a room separate from the sports book, on a daily basis. So it was huge for us. It was a great turnout. We had a hat contest for the ladies, things like that. So it was promoted really well. It did really well. And I guess you were on vacation because I gave out Mage, the winner, everywhere I went. On Peter Fornatau's show. I gave it out on VSiN. I gave it out on Ralph Scirocco's show. I've loved this horse from, a couple starts back. I thought that he had a great chance to peak at the time of, the first Saturday in May, and that's exactly what he did. And I did fairly well on that race.
Good for you. Do you go ballistic? Do you get out of your chair and just start pumping your fist? I want to know.
I did that day. I gotta tell you.
Yeah.
There's a couple of us back in the office, and I gave the horse to anybody who would listen, and a couple guys had it. A couple friends, and we were kind of excited back there. Yeah.
Obviously, this is odds. Odds particular. We don't have those, but do you think you'll be on Mage in the Preakness?
I don't know. There's a couple. I saw 2 fills now is not going to run. I thought he had a tremendous race, finish second in the race. So I don't know. We'll have to see. I got to see how horses come out of it, and we'll see the prices. I mean, listen, Gil, I don't bet 2-to-1 shots. So we'll see what kind of price he is, and I may try to beat him in this next race. But I went on Peter Fornatau's show, and they had a promotion, a Preakness promotion, and I already have a free $100 bet on Mage. So I got that in my pocket.
There you go.
So we'll see who else is in the race and what it looks like, how it shapes up.
Yeah, so I guess I know the answer to my other question, which was, this is the only, this is the main handicapping thing that Chrissie still loves to do. Mage doesn't strike you as a Triple Crown winning horse.
I don't think so. I think it'd be very doubtful. Actually, the more I looked at, and not only that he's not that good, because he is pretty good. That was a really great time, 2:01 and change. that was a terrific time. But I think if you look at that crop of 3-year-olds, it's probably a lot better than I thought it was. What it was, Forte, who I think was probably the best horse, even though he scratched the morning of the Derby. I haven't heard what their plan is for him. So I think right now there's some really good horses. King's Barnes, who I told people, turning for home, he would be on the lead, which he was either on the lead or in second as they turned for home. Angel of Empire, had a great race in him. Maybe had the best performance out of anybody. He ran into a lot of trouble, which is what happens in a 20-horse field. I think he's real live for the next race or the Belmont. So I think Mage is really, really good, but there's a really good crop too, and I don't think anybody's just going to waltz away with the Triple Crown. And I don't think he's quite good enough at this point.
What is noteworthy in terms of the Stanley Cup playoffs and the NBA playoffs? Has there been anything noteworthy to you from the South Point perspective in terms of an increase or a decrease either way? Is the Golden Knights wave, has that begun here regionally?
Yeah, I mean, I was glad to see them win last night. I think we want to keep them in the playoffs as long as possible. Our futures, we lose a little bit on them in the futures, but it's probably worth it just to keep them around, because it just creates so much excitement. And, I know I talked to Dave Jensen, who kind of handles the tickets. We have tickets for all the playoff games, and I always tell him, if there's any night that nobody wants to go, just give me a call. He says, yeah, well, you can forget about it. Don't expect my call. So the tickets are a hot commodity. It's great response in the room every single night. So the Knights being in, I'm glad they won last night and keeping it alive, because I really thought Edmonton was a much, much better team. But, hockey's a game of inches probably more than anything. So we want to keep them around. The East is wide open, and I'm not sure anybody coming out of there is going to, bring about all that much excitement. As far as the NBA goes, I've been saying it for a while, but I've got to root against these Lakers. It's a big future for us. It is pretty bad. And I haven't been able to alleviate it because you don't want to give everything away on the other teams. But Lakers would be pretty bad for us, and I got to tell you, they're looking pretty darn good right now. It's going to be tough to beat. But whoever comes out of that Nuggets Sun series, I'm going to be rooting for them to win the West. And on the other side of the bracket, Celtics are good for it, but there's nobody really bad. Heat's great for us. The Knicks aren't so good, but I don't think they're going to win it all. But I think right now we're in decent shape with the futures as long as we can knock out the Lakers.
6-figure liability for you.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that sounds like more than just 100K is how I interpreted that.
It is. Yeah, it is. Yeah.
All right. Well,
100 I could deal with.
Well, get ready for a Florida Panthers Seattle Kraken Stanley Cup Finals and a Nuggets Heat Finals, which will probably be bad for you. But I guess you'll have kicked out the Lakers by that point, so it wouldn't be the worst thing in the world for you in that regard. I know better than to ask you if you will have NBA draft bets here available, so I will let you go, Chrissie. How about that?
Okay. Yeah, don't ask me that because we're not going to have it. So.
Chris Andrews, everybody, at Andrews Sports, and pick up all his books at Amazon. Yes, sir.
By the way, I have a good story for you next time we see each other.
Oh, okay. On air or off air?
No, off air.
Okay. All right. Let's just have the conversations on air, Chrissie, that we can have in private. Thank you, Chrissie. Appreciate it. Chris Andrews, everybody. We can't wait for a story. I'm looking forward to that. Coming back, Kelley and I wrap things up next. Numbers Game, VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
A numbers game on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
BetMGM, the king of sportsbooks, unleashes the spirit of Las Vegas with BetMGM rewards. Every time you make a wager at BetMGM, you can earn BetMGM rewards points that you can redeem for online bonus credits like bonus bets and bet insurance tokens. Planning a trip to Vegas, you can also convert your BetMGM points into MGM rewards points that you can use towards dining, shows, and hotel rooms at over 20 MGM resorts properties located on the Las Vegas Strip and nationwide. Sign up with BetMGM or log in today to get an even bigger piece of the action with BetMGM rewards. Eligibility restrictions apply. BetMGM and GameSense remind you to play responsibly and offer resources to help you make appropriate choices. Visit BetMGM.com for terms and conditions. Must be 21 years of age or older to wager. New and existing customer offer. All promotions subject to qualification and eligibility requirements. Rewards issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets. Bonus bets expire in 7 days from issuance. Please gamble responsibly. Gambling problem? Call 1-800 Gambler. It's Gill Alexander. It's Kelley Bydlon. I love it when Chrissie forgets that we're actually on the radio and not just having a private conversation. Like, what if in the middle he's like, "Hey, how's that rash coming?" Like, what if he had just,
Still have dinner tomorrow night, right? What time we meet again?
I don't have a rash. I'm just making a point. We get tweets at Beating the Book. I hope I know that one. This is from Teat for Three. Oh, he's commenting on Mike Alvarez, recalling the Mike Palm moment when Mike Palm just burst out into Bone Thugs lyrics. He said, "That's one of my favorite moments ever. Possibly only close was when G-Unit, talking about Greg Peterson, referred to his fans as the Gregorians, and Gill nearly fell off his chair." I'm trying to remember. I was like, "You call them what?" Let's see here.
That's great.
Elvis Toast Patterson fan. He goes, "Gilly, doesn't Chrissie know the television business? That's called a tease. Can't tease on air and then tell the story off air." Oh, man.
I thought he was, I thought he was teeing up an excellent tease for next week. And then it was like, no, I'll call you in like 30 minutes after the show.
That's right. Chris Hartman, Gill, with the NFL schedule release on Thursday, I cannot help but think Friday's show will be all Survivor talk in the second hour, correct? And then he's got the hands clasped pray emoji. I don't know if Chris Hartman is being facetious. Usually he texts about Matt Brown not kicking field goals. But no, it will not be a whole hour on Survivor after the schedule comes out Thursday. But I do have yearly Survivor, thoughts to go on. It just won't be Friday.
We will definitely hit on some of it Friday. Yeah. But yes, I'm imagining you're not plotting out your entire map yet of how you're getting through Survivor.
Some people claim they still do that. I do not do that. No.
There are people that that claim they start doing it right after the schedule release?
Bruh. We have people on our network who say they do that.
Wow.
Here's my thing. And this is, again, all in August, all we're going to be doing is talking football.
I was just going to say
we are going to talk so much football. We're going to have so much winning. No, we're talking so much football that here's the thing. The point will be made on this show. I will say it over and over. I'll be like, and none of us, ultimately, once we see weeks 1 and 2 of football, will know a damn thing. Right? Because we will... Yeah. We will be right about some things, but we will inevitably be completely wrong about what we think about teams after just seeing 1 or 2 football games, which, by the way, won't just be anomalous. It will actually be the case that we will have been completely wrong. And so if you plan out Survivor well before, it's like, what are you doing? And just adhering to your Bible in July or June or May? Come on.
Plus, there's so much great stuff going on right now. Like you said, July, August, we got plenty of time.
Oh,
believe me, you're gonna hear us bring up Mike Tomlin never had a losing season stats about 1 billion freaking times.
What?
You're gonna hear me talk about how the Vikings still have value in the NFC North.
That's right.
And I'm gonna be obnoxious again with it.
Someone's gonna come on about college football and say Oklahoma's the team to win it all. The same things
You're gonna get all the hits, all the
greatest hits. They're coming. As far as our bets, in case you missed them earlier today, I actually have a pre-flop NBA play. I had no tennis plays today, which is sort of an upset, but I do have a basketball. I rarely come on here and make pre-flop ATS basketball players, but I'm on the Nuggets. I got them at 5. It's 5.5 right now. But when we found out that Nikola Jokic was absolutely playing, and by the way, I do not think that was laughable. Like, I actually think that was batted around in the room. Might have been for a minute, might have been for 90 seconds, but they absolutely addressed in the NBA offices, do we have to suspend him? And I believe it's because it was the Suns owner, Matt Ishbia, that was involved. Because they couldn't do anything to him, because he wasn't just a regular fan, he was an owner, they could not then, they had to basically come out with 2 wrongs has to make a right here, by NBA standards wrongs. Because we can't do anything to Ishbia, then we can't suspend Jokic either. We'll fine him, but we can't suspend it. But if it were a regular season game and it was a random fan and Jokic tried to grab a basketball from a fan, regardless if the fan flopped or not, I think he would have been suspended. But anyway, so once it was announced that he was only getting fined and he was playing, grab the Nuggets. I just think that let's put it this way. There are so many bets that I've said this before on the show. Some bets you just have to be willing to lose. And if so, tip of the cap. Some things are going to not work out for you. And if Devin Booker and KD can put together what they've put together on the road now against the Nuggets team, if Landry Shamet can do what he did in quarter number 4 last game, and they win this or they cover, tip of the cap. but I'll take my chances. I took the Nuggets -5. That's my play tonight.
Yeah, I'm with you. I mean, that was a very quick bet for me. I laid 4.5. I laid it with 5 again.
Booker 34 of 43.
He's incredible.
In his last two games.
Like, have we seen in the past single performances basically carry teams? And it's bizarre that we're talking about Devin Booker and not Kevin Durant in that sense. But yeah, that could happen. And the two of these guys could do it. But I'm with you. It's we're switching. We're switching home court sites. I totally do believe, Drew brought it up earlier, I think the role players, this becomes way more different. Landry Shamet dropping 19. Good luck with that. You're going to see much more productivity out of the Denver bench that really wasn't there in that last game. And it's the floor to me, Gill. Like, Durant and Booker have to combine for 70 every night for that team to have a chance.
Yeah.
It's when they start going over that when, okay, yes, they might be able to win it by themselves. But switch of venues. Look, I'm impressed Phoenix got 2 at home. They got both of those. I really thought we'd be coming back to Denver 3-1, but it comes back 2-2. I'm with you. I'm all over Denver tonight.
Are you with the now? I did not do anything with the first game, and I'll be honest with you. The Eastern Conference series and individual games, those are all in games for me.
Yeah.
Like, I just have no real desire to bet these pre-flop. But he was all about the Celtics laying the wood tonight.
Yeah, I mean, I think good for him sticking with his convictions. I laid the first half line with the Celtics. Not a big bet for me, a little bit smaller bet tonight. I think that there are enough questions in my mind about Joe Mazzulla and how these Celtics have handled end-of-game situations and clutch time moments really dating back to last year's playoffs. And you head into this postseason, it's issues. And I don't know how many full game spreads I'm willing to lay that are that big of a number. So,
yeah, he has now said he should have called timeout. That's his
yes, that did. Yeah, that came down.
Yeah.
That did come down. So I did play them first half tonight, small. And then
what's your thinking on the Jaylen Brown over?
Because Jaylen Brown has been incredibly efficient. He said after the last game that he probably needs to be more aggressive and more demanding of the ball. We've seen him a couple of these games now in this series get off to very fast starts and then kind of disappear from the offense. If he just gets more shots, Gill, he goes over because he's scoring incredibly efficiently right now. He's one of the few guys on the team to do that. So, yeah, I do have a prop bet tonight over 23.5 points on him. And then, yeah, Warriors, yeah, game 5. Count me in. I'm there too.
We end the same way we started, which is plus 380 is not enough for me to play the Warriors to win this series. I would have wanted 6-1 or 7-1 to even consider it. But that lets you know. Where this stands, because the Warriors will be more than negligible favorites in Game 5 here, obviously, and then, if necessary, a Game 7. Yes, they will be a dog in Game 6, perhaps, but only by a point, if they even are, right? So that's why that price is what it is. Obviously, look, they're behind the 8 ball. You got to win 3 in a row. But here's the thing, Kelley, this just in. You don't have to win all 3 of them at the same time.
Nope, you don't.
And so if there were ever a team, like if I said this to you right now, who's the team more likely to come back from the 3-1 deficit? Would it be the Warriors or would it be the Knicks?
Oh, my, it's not even close.
Not even close.
I was just going to bring up how opposite do those two series feel?
Yes.
Where Drew even brought it up. I don't know that I'm going to get to a Heat bet, but it feels like New York, the Knicks are already planning vacation. Like, that is, after listening to Julius Randle last night, they feel defeated, feel like they have no answers, and they're done. Meanwhile, we know the Warriors aren't going to lay down and quit, and everybody feels that way, right?
Everybody, yeah. And, I say that again. Bet against the Warriors, bet against the Heat at your own peril. The Heat obviously up, but the number 8 seed moving forward, and again, the Warriors down 3-1, obviously, against the LA Lakers. We've done all we can do, so a bunch of basketball bets for you today. We'll crunch the numbers for tennis tomorrow. Maybe we'll have some tennis bets. I think we probably will, for the Italian Open men and ladies side in play tomorrow. Maybe some quarter thoughts on the men's side as well. The Lombardi line is next. Enjoy from VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.